How you all doing? I hope and pray that you all are safe and sound at home, because we all know this is the lockdown time, and each one of us are basically fighting against a pandemic. The entire world is now fighting, and each one of us are the warriors in that fight. So from our side, what you have to do is basically just follow and obey the instructions and guidelines from the state government and from the central government and from the health departments. You see, any simple mistake or a small negligence from your side is going to cost a lot, not just for yourself, but for the people around you and for the family and for the society also. So I request you to kindly stay alert and stay safe. Now we know it is a very tough time for everybody, and especially for the students, because this is the month of June. And usually in the starting of June, it is the starting of the academic year for the students in India. So now the students are not able to go to school. Right? So now what we thought is like, no, we can just conduct an online class for the students, so that it would be helpful for the children. So to start with, we thought of taking this class for the 8th class students and those who follow the NCERT syllabus. And we thought of starting with chapter 11. Chapter 11 is nothing but force and pressure. So as you can see from the name, this chapter is divided into two parts, force and pressure. So today we will be starting with the part 1, that is force. Right? Now, so what do you know about force? Force is something that you apply on your everyday life. For example, when you get up in the morning, when you brush your teeth, you apply force on your teeth. And when you drink a tea, when you pick up a glass, you apply a force. And when you go to school, you carry your school bags, right? So then also you apply a force. And when you go to the school and when you write something on a paper, still you are applying a force on the paper with a pen. And when you fight with your friends, you apply a force. When you slap somebody, still you apply a force. You understand? അതായത് നമ്മൾ ജീവിതത്തിൽ ഒരു ദിവസം രാവിലെ മുതൽ എണീച്ചിട്ട് പല കാര്യങ്ങൾ ചെയ്യുമ്പോൾ we are applying force like multiple times. You understand? So now let us see some examples, wherein we apply some force. For example, when somebody, you imagine Cristiano Ronaldo kicking a football. Let's say he is taking a free kick. So what happens? അതായത് ക്രിസ്ത്യാനോ റൊണാൾഡോ ഒരു ഫ്രീ കിക്ക് എടുക്കുമ്പോൾ എന്ത് ചെയ്യും? ഫ്രീ കിക്ക് ആദ്യം പന്ത് നിലത്ത് വെക്കും. The ball will be at rest. It will be at zero speed on the ground. Okay. Now he starts kicking it. So what happens is the ball attains a momentum, or it will go in a speed. So from zero speed, it attains a speed. Okay. So here the state of motion of the object here is a football. It is changed from zero speed. It has attained some speed when he kicks it. So what did Cristiano Ronaldo do on this ball? He simply applied a force. He kicked on the ball, right? So a kick is nothing but a push only. So he did a push on the ball, right? And what happens to the ball? From the zero speed, it has attained certain speed, right? Now let's take another example. Okay? We all know Sachin Tendulkar, right? He is a very famous batsman, and he is known as the god of cricket. And when somebody, let's say this is the bowler's end and this is the batsman end, and Sachin is standing here with the bat. So what happens is, when the bowler bowls a ball, Sachin is going to hit it, right? So once he hits it, it may go over to a sixer, or he may push it to the offside. So what happens is maybe he will get a boundary. So what happens here is initially the bowler delivers the ball and Sachin applied a force on the ball. So what happened is the ball, initially it was coming in this direction, now the direction of the ball has changed, right? If it continue on this direction, it will go like this, but since Sachin has applied a force on the ball, its direction changed. Now let us take one more example. Okay? Let's imagine a tug of the war, like Vadambali, right? In Vadambali, what will happen is some kids will be, or some people will be standing on this side, and they will be having a rope on their hand, and on the other side also there will be some people standing here, and these guys, what they will do is they will try to pull the rope towards that side. And these guys, what they will do is like they will try to pull the rope towards this side. So what you see here, both of them, they wants to win the match, right? How can they win? By defeating the other team. So for that, what you have to do, you have to apply more force than the other team. See, this team is also applying a force, they are pulling it, and this team is also applying a force, they are pulling the rope towards this side. You understand? Right. So now, now if both the teams are like, applying equal force, what will happen to the rope? It is going to stand still here at this position, equilibrium position. Now if this team is going to apply more force than that team, what is happen? The rope will come towards this side and they are going to win. You understand? So here what they have done, they have applied a pull. You understand? Initially we have seen Cristiano Ronaldo was kicking the ball. So what did he do? Basically he just applied a push force, right? And we have seen Sachin Tendulkar, he was batting. So what did he do? Basically he applied a push force with the bat. So when Cristiano applied the force on the ball, what happened to the ball? It moved from 0 speed to certain speed. And when Sachin applied a force on the ball with his bat, what happened? The direction of the ball changed. The direction of the object changed. So in science, basically we can define force as a push or a pull due to the interaction of two bodies. Now this interaction is important because for example, if I want to apply a force on this board, if I am standing still in front of this, is something going to happen to the board? No. I have to touch it. I have to apply a force. So it requires interaction from my side to the board. Then only I can apply a force. So a force in scientific terms is just a push or a pull due to the interaction of two bodies. You understand? Well, now let's take another example. So far we have been telling like a force can change the state of motion of an object. We have seen like when you apply a force, an object from 0 speed is going to attain certain speed, right? So here it was initially at the state of rest, and from there when we applied a force, it changed to a state of motion. And in the second example we have seen a force could change the direction of motion of the object. So two things. One is like state of motion and the second one is like direction of motion. Right? So are these the only two things that a force can do? The impacts of force? Do you think is this the only things that a force can do? No. For example, see here you can see a paper, right? Now I am going to apply a force on this paper. You see? So do you see any change in the state of motion of this paper? No, this is an object, and for the state of motion nothing has changed because the paper is still in my hand. And do you see any change in the direction of this motion? No, it didn't move. It was still in my hand and still it is in my hand even after applying the force. So what happened to the paper then? Its shape has changed. Initially it was flat, then when I applied a force on this, its shape has changed. So similarly, like now when you take a small piece of lemon and when you try to squeeze it, what happens? You apply a force on the lemon piece and a juice will be extracted from that. So did anything happen to the lemon? Like when you apply a force, did you see any change in the state of motion of the lemon piece? No. Did you see any change in the state of, in the direction of motion of the lemon piece? No, nothing happened. The only change was like its shape was changed or its dimension was changed. So force can do three things. One is like the state of motion can change. The second one is like direction of motion can change. The third one is like its dimension or shape can change. Right? So these are the three things that a force can influence on a body, on an object. Now, if I apply a force, is it a must that any of these things can happen? See, basically when you apply a force, either of these three things can happen or multiple things like these three things together or two at a time, something like can happen. For example, when Sachin hits a boundary, he gives some more speed to the ball and he changes he will change the direction of the ball also, right? So when you apply a force, any of these three things can happen at a time, or multiple things can happen at a time, and it is possible that nothing can happen. For example, here I have a wall, and I am going to apply a force on the wall. Do you think something is going to happen to this wall? No, nothing, because I am not that strong enough to move the ball, to move the wall, because it requires a very heavy force from somebody to do something on this wall, because it's very strong, right? So force can do either of these things or multiple things together, or it can do nothing. It's possible. Now let us see, when multiple force acting together on an object, what is going to happen. Okay, for example, I have a car here. Okay, let's see, it's a car, and one person, he's trying to push the car. Okay, and the same car I have here. It's the same car. Okay, and three people are pushing the car, 1, 2, and 3. So here it's just only one person, he is trying to push the car, and here we have three people who are trying to push the same car. So in which case do you think the car will move faster? Obviously, if the gear is neutral, the car is going to move faster in this case, because there are three people here, and all of them are going to apply the force on the same direction. They are pushing the car in this direction. So and here it's only just one person, he is trying to push the car here. So his force may not be that strong enough compared to these three people's force together. You understand? So in this case, obviously the car is going to move faster here in the second case, because there are three people there. So when forces acting in the same direction, the net force is nothing but it's the cumulative effect of all the forces which are acting on the body. So in this case, when forces are acting on the same direction, the net force is equal to F1 plus F2 plus F3 whatever, which means F1 is the first person's force, F2 is the next person's force, F3 is the third person's force. So when these forces are acting in the same direction, the net force is equal to the sum of all the individual forces. And what will be the direction of the force? Since all these people are applying force in the same direction, the direction of the force is also going to be the same. You see, it's all going to be here only. So the direction of the net force is also same as those of the individual forces. Now let's take another example. Let's take another example. Here, as you see, okay, let's take the tug of war example. Earlier we have seen, right? So, three students from here, let's say two students and two students from here, basically pulling the rope. They are pulling the rope towards that side, and these students they are pulling the rope towards this side. So, if they are of equal force, what is going to happen to the rope here? Nothing. The rope is going to stand still. Why? Because these guys are applying a force, and these guys are also applying a force. Okay, let's say this is F1 and this is F2 and this is F3 and this is F4. So the sum of F1 plus F2 is equal to the sum of F3 plus F4, right? So when forces are acting in different directions, what happens is like there the net force acting on the object is basically nothing but the difference of forces. You understand? Okay, to simplify it, I will take another example. Okay, let's imagine two gods fighting with each other. Okay, here is a god and here is another god. Two gods fighting with each other. So each of them they will be fighting head to head. So whichever is more stronger, they are going to win the fight. You understand? So here, let's say this god is stronger and he is applying a force F1, and this god is somewhat weaker, he is applying a force F2. So what will be the resultant force here? It is equal to F1 minus F2, because this is stronger. So when the forces are acting in different directions, the net force is equal to F big minus F small. Okay, here this is big, So F1 minus F2. And what will be the direction of the net force? It is the direction of the bigger force. You understand? So to summarize, when forces are acting in the same direction, the net force is equal to sum of all forces, right? And when forces are acting in the different direction, the net force is equal to the difference of the larger force minus the smaller force. F1 minus F2. You see? And the direction of force, when forces are acting in the same direction, is equal to the same direction of the individual forces. And the direction in the second case, like when both the forces are acting in different direction, is equal to the direction of the larger force. Right? Fine. So now we have learned how to define force and what are the impacts of force and how to calculate the net force. Now we are going to see the types of forces. Right? Types of forces. See, forces are broadly classified into two groups. One is contact forces. Contact forces. Other one is non-contact forces. Now, what is a contact force? When we have already discussed, like for a force to happen, there should be an interaction of two objects, right? So a contact force means these objects must come in physical contact. For example, when I apply a force on this paper, I have to touch this paper. So if this paper is just sitting over there and I am standing here idle, am I going to apply a force on that? No. For me to apply a force on the paper, I have to have a physical contact with this paper. You understand? That is contact force. Now, in contact forces, let's see what are the other sub-classification in contact forces. And non-contact force is something that that doesn't require any physical contact. That we will discuss later. So first, let us see what are the different types of contact forces. Contact forces. See, the first one we are going to learn here is muscular force. See, for anybody, for any person to apply a force on something, his muscle has to come into action. For example, if I have to apply a force on this thing, I have to use my muscles, right? So muscular force is basically caused by the action of muscles, right? This is always caused by the action of muscles. This is only related to human? No. Muscular force can be there even with animals. For example, you must have seen a bullock cart, you must have seen a horse cart. So what will happen in those cases? The bullock, it will apply a muscular force to move the cart. And similarly a horse also, it will have to apply a muscular force to move the cart. Similarly, can you give me some more examples for a muscular force? Yeah, we have seen coolies, right? They are carrying headloads in the railway stations and all. Basically, they apply muscular force. And you must have seen students who are carrying the school bag. So what they do? They apply muscular force. And you consider a weightlifter. What does he do? Simply he lifts something and then he push it up over his head. Then also he is applying a muscular force. So whatever action that you do with your muscles, with the help of your muscles, it's muscular force, right? So now you understood what is muscular force. So the next thing on contact force is friction or frictional force. Now you see this is a very important force, frictional force, and you have a separate chapter itself to study more about this force. But in this chapter, we are just going to tell you what is frictional force and how it's being used and what are the applications. Simple. And frictional force, it's nothing but it's a type of force that opposes the motion of the objects over surface of another body. For example, to give you an example, you must have seen like a football rolling over the ground. So somebody kicks on the ball, what happens is like it will roll over the ground for some time, and after some time it's going to come to rest, right? So we have already discussed like for something to happen to the state of motion of an object, a force has to be applied. But you see a football, it started moving on the ground. After some time, it's going to stop automatically. It's going to come to rest automatically, which means some force has to be happen on it to bring it to zero speed. You agree? So that force is frictional force. The frictional force is basically exerted by the ground over the football to oppose its motion. So whenever a body is moving over a surface, the frictional force is the force that surface executes over the motion of this body. So that's frictional force. For example, I can move my hand simply on the air just like this. But at the same time, if I am going to move my hand over a surface, it requires some more effort from my side. It's not that easy like what I do in the air. You understand? Because the air has less friction compared to this surface. This surface has more friction, so I have to apply more force to move my hand over the wheel. But at the same time, if I am going to do it on the air, it's pretty easy compared to the air case. So now you understand what is friction is, right? Now can you tell me some examples where we can use friction usefully? For example, you must have seen the cars running off the road. What happens? Basically, it uses the frictional force by the road over the tires of the car for the car to get moving. Similarly, when you walk, let's say it's a slippery surface, it's an ice surface. Can you able to walk freely like what you do here? No, it's kind of difficult. We are able to walk steadily only because of the friction of this floor. You understand? Right. So now we understood different contact forces. One is muscular force and one is frictional force. And then there is one more contact force that is actually not mentioned in your textbook. That is nothing but mechanical force. This is a contact force just like muscular and friction force. So what happens here? Here there are no muscles involved. For example, you must have seen a JCB machine, right? A JCB does some work over the ground. Okay. So from where is the power coming? It's from mechanical parts of it. No muscles are involved in the JCB. Similarly, a crane which is lifting a weight. What is happening there? It is also again the work of the mechanical parts of that crane that is helping it to lift that weight. So that is mechanical force. So we have seen three contact forces. One is muscular, one is friction, and the third one is mechanical. Now we are going to discuss about non-contact forces. Okay. So we are told already that contact forces require a physical contact between the objects for the force to come into effect, whereas a non-contact force doesn't require any physical contact. So can you tell me some examples for a non-contact force? All of you must be aware of magnets, right? Must have played with magnets many times because all your children love to play with magnets. So what a magnet does to any magnetic material. When you bring it closer to a magnet, what will happen is that the magnet tries to pull the material. For example, an iron piece or a iron nail. So a magnet, if you bring it closer to the iron nail, what happens is like, let's say this is the magnet. Okay, and this is an iron nail. Okay, so when you bring this magnet closer to the iron, what happens is like a pulling force will be here. This iron piece will try to come more close to this. Right? So once it is in the magnetic field of this magnet, the magnet tends to pull this iron piece. So similarly, a magnet attracts another magnet also. You must have already learned this, right? For example, like poles. A magnet has two poles. One is south pole and the other one is north pole. Okay. So now let us imagine two magnets, right? So this magnet south pole, you bring close to another magnet. You bring south pole of one magnet to the south pole of another magnet. What will happen? It's going to repel because they are like poles. So the law is like poles are going to repel always. And if you bring the south pole of this magnet to the north pole of another magnet, what is going to happen? It's going to attract. So unlike poles attract and like poles repel. You see, you don't require any physical contact between this. Once you bring them close to each other, what will happen? The force is going to come into effect. So it's a non-contact force. Now let us see what are the other non-contact forces. So we have learned magnetic force. And the next one is electrostatic force. Okay, electrostatic force is nothing but it involves charged body. For example, you must have seen like when you comb your hair, just after bath, and when you dry up your hair and when you comb it, you take that comb near to piece of papers. Then you can see that papers will get attracted to that comb. Right? It is called electrostatic force because when you comb your hair, what will happen is that the comb will get charged. And when you bring them close to a piece of papers, they will get attracted because of the charge of this comb. Right? Similarly, you can see like now a piece of scale. I don't have it right on me. So a piece of scale, you can do the same thing. Like you can either show it over your head, or you can even rub it over your cloth, and you can bring it close to some piece of papers. It will get attracted. You can see that. Similarly, an inflated balloon. Okay, once you rub it with a piece of cloth and you take it to some piece of papers, what will happen is like the papers will get attracted to the balloon. So all of them are like, it doesn't require any physical contact. Once you bring close to it and keep a small distance, you can see that papers will get attracted to the balloon. So they are all examples of electrostatic force. So electrostatic force is nothing but action of the charged bodies. And due to this force, it will get the attraction force will come into effect. Now I will tell you another example. You all know what is a straw, right? Yeah, that we used to drink juices and all. So that straw, one piece you hang freely, and another piece, what you can do is like you can again rub it on a cloth of paper. On a piece of cloth, and you can just bring this piece near to the other one, which is hanging freely. You can see that the other piece will get attracted to this straw. Similarly, now what you do is like the other piece also, which is hanging freely, you just rub it over a piece of cloth, the same piece of cloth. Now you bring the second time. What will happen is like now you can start. Earlier it was getting attracted to this first straw. In the second case, it will get repelled because now the other one is also got charged, right? So from here, what you can understand is like just like the magnetic case, here also like charges repel and unlike charges attract. Okay, like charges repel and unlike charges attract. Okay, so you have learned what is a magnetic force and what is an electrostatic force. They are both examples for non-contact force. Now can you imagine any other non-contact force around you? Okay. For example, if I throw this paper, after some time it's going to come down to the earth, right? If I am going to leave this marker, what is going to happen to it? It's going to fall down. So what is the thing that is pushing it downwards? It is nothing but gravitational force of the earth. That is the gravity of the earth. That is another example for a non-contact force. Right? So we have seen magnetic, we have seen electrostatic, and we have discussed about gravitational force. So all of them are examples of non-contact force. So for the gravitational force to come into effect, do you think does it require a physical contact? No. If I simply drop it, it's going to come down only. Right? So this gravitational force is basically there everywhere in the universe. For example, you can see the planets revolving around the sun. So what is that force that is going to keep the planets to revolve around the sun? Why it is not moving away? Is there a string in between sun and the earth? No. It is only the gravitational force that is keeping the earth to revolve on its orbit around the sun. That is the gravitational force. So similarly, all the objects in the universe are basically getting attracted to each other because of this gravitational force. Now you see, when you take a jump from Earth, probably if you are a healthy person, you can maybe you can jump up to 5 feet. I can tell you. At the same time, if you go to jump from Moon, the same jump, the same person, what is going to happen? He is going to jump very high because the gravitational force of the Moon is very less compared to Earth. At the same time, you consider the planet Jupiter. Okay, Jupiter is like you can say it's a very big planet. It's the biggest planet on the solar system. Now the same person who was earlier jumping from Earth, he rose up to here, 5 feet, let's say. The same person, if he is going to jump from Jupiter, he can't even move 1 feet because the Jupiter has so much gravitational force on it. You understand? Right. So we have discussed contact forces and non-contact forces. So contact forces are basically muscular. Then what are the other two forces that we have discussed? Frictional and mechanical. And non-contact forces, there are three we have discussed: magnetic, electrostatic and gravitational. So that's about force part 1. Now we are going to test our understanding, what we have learned so far. Now we can discuss we can test our understanding. So you can see a question here. Give 2 examples each of situations in which you push or pull to change the state of motion of objects. We have seen multiple examples, right? Many examples. So to give you 2 examples, we push a trolley to move it. We pull a table to change its position. Right? Let's move on. Let's go to the next question. So question 2. Give 2 examples of situations in which applied force causes a change in the shape of an object. We have seen multiple examples, right? Like squeezing a lemon piece or squeezing a toothpaste tube, like that. So here I have given you 2 examples. When we stretch the rubber band, its shape is changed. For example, when you stretch it, it's getting elongated, right? So squeezing of a plastic bottle changes the shape of the bottle. For example, when you press it, its shape is going to change. Right? So let's move on. Let's check the next question. Okay. Here, fill in the blanks in the following statements. So the first one is like, to draw water from a well, we have to do dash at the rock. What should you do? You have to pull. You have to pull the rock. Right? The next question is, a charged body dash an uncharged body towards it. We have already discussed, like charges repel. Okay, here a charged body always attracts an uncharged body, because uncharged body is always neutral. So a charged body always attracts an uncharged body. The next question is, to move a loaded trolley, we have to dash. To move a loaded trolley, what do you have to do? There are 2 options: push or pull. Anything is correct. Okay. The next question is, the north pole of a magnet dash the north pole of another magnet. We have already discussed this. Like poles attract, like poles repel and unlike poles attract. So here both of them are like north poles, so it's like poles. So they are going to repel each other, right? So repulse is the answer. Now one more question. An artist stretches her bow while taking aim at the target. She then releases the arrow, which begins to move towards the target. Based on this information, fill up the gaps in the statements using the following terms. So these are the available options that we can use: muscular, contact, non-contact, gravity, friction, shape and attraction. So from these options, you have to fill in whatever is appropriate here. The first one, let's see. To stretch the bow, the archer applies force that causes change in its, you see, change in its shape, right? The next question is, the force applied by the archer to stretch the bow is an example of dash force. Obviously, muscular force. Right. So the next question is, the type of force responsible for a change in the state of motion of the arrow is an example of a dash force. So what's the answer? This is an example of a contact force. Here, see, here two answers will match. This is also muscular only, but since muscular we have already used here, so we can give contact force here. Okay. Now let's see the next question. While the arrow moves towards its target, the forces acting on it are due to dash and that due to dash of air. So we know when the arrow is moving freely over the air, we know the two forces acting on the arrow will be, one is a frictional force of the air, the other one is the gravitational force of the earth. Okay, so this is gravity and that due to the friction of the air, right? Now let's move on to the next question. An inflated balloon was pressed against a wall after it has been rubbed with a piece of synthetic cloth. It was found that the balloon sticks to the wall. What force might be responsible for the attraction between the balloon and the wall? We have already discussed it, right? It is electrostatic force. So the answer is electrostatic force. So with this, we are going to wrap up our session for today. The first part is now over, and the second part is pressure. For that, we will be probably giving you another session depending on the feedback of this session. And some of the questions in the textbook we have already discussed, and there are some more questions in the textbook. They are all pretty easy. If you find any difficulties or any issues with them, or if you need more clarification, please feel free to comment below this video. I will be more than happy to respond. So thank you very much. Thank you all for watching.